Here and welcome to a brand new video. So today's video is the one that a lot of people have been waiting for. As far as the virtual pinball goes, we're going to be doing the review on the Retro Play virtual pinball. I actually have with me here, this is the work order. In doing reviews, it's basically a person's experience in either purchasing a product or receiving a service. And so because of that, I want to do multiple reviews because it's just too much stuff to cover in just one video. Now, as far as doing reviews go, I generally like to do good reviews, except for when it comes to hot toys and stuff. As you know, sometimes I don't like some of their figures. However, you know I actually love hot toys because I literally have tens of thousands of dollars worth of their product up onto my wall. But to give you an example of a good review and a bad review, and we'll kind of change the cameras around so it's just not in one spot, but a good review would be something like there's another customer that Dave has, and he actually posted a video. Dave posted, he made a video review for his machine. He actually received it about 4 weeks ago. And I don't know if it happened in shipping or what the exact cause was, but his back TV monitor wasn't working. And so he contacted Dave, and within a week, Dave had that already shipped back out to him. Now, it took about 2 weeks total because of COVID is still slowing down shipping, but in 2 weeks, a little bit more than 2 weeks, he actually had a brand new TV monitor. The customer installed it and then started playing his machine and did his review, and he loves his machine. So again, there will be good reviews out there, and then there will be ones that aren't. So I'm not trying to dismiss people that like his machines. I'm just, again, giving you my experience on purchasing a machine from him and the customer service and the quality of the product. Now, on the reverse side of that, when I received my machine, my back glass was cracked, the DMD was damaged. Within a week, the plunger broke, the plunger kit. There's actually a little module chip inside there that has a pin, and that pin snapped off. And that was actually caused by a bad installation on the kit. But very, very minor. And I actually spoke with Dave, or sent him text messages through Messenger to let him know this. And just like with the other customer, Dave said no problem, he'll get it right out to me. He was actually gonna just do it as we were talking. And I actually have a still photo of that conversation, so if you want to take a look at that really quickly. And so if you see there, that was June 24th. And as of today, I have still never received that plunger board. So that right there, you can see the difference between somebody giving a good review that gets something in a couple weeks after notifying Dave, opposed to somebody now going on 4 months, starting to go on 4 months, that still hasn't received his item. So my review might not necessarily be very good, at least as far as the customer service side of it. So we are going to be covering that again in a different video. Also too, you probably won't be able to see this, but I'm going to cover this more in another video. There was a lot of items that are on this list that he never installed in the machine, and is yet today to refund me for any of it. He did, in his last email, pretty much told me that if I want to take any further action, just take him to court. So again, customer service on parts that I paid for that are on this list, Dave hasn't done anything about them. And the really blaring one here is the graphics card. I'm going to try to get that really close if you can see it. If not, don't worry about it. It's probably not going to focus in on this camera. I didn't actually plan on showing you that. But he put a downgraded graphics card in my machine. So that in itself is really kind of scandalous in itself. But again, we're going to cover that in a separate video along with the inside build, because today we're going to more talk about the cosmetics. And basically what I want to do is to do a review as if everything is working on the machine. Like if I got it, everything was working, and people were just asking me, hey, how do you like the machine? Tell me a little bit more about it. And that's kind of be what we're going to do on this review. Now I do want to show you really quickly, in talking about stuff shipping out. As you guys know, I've already done the videos on it about the back plexiglass being broke and the DMD going out. And I did the unpackaging of this one that just came last week that also came broke. I wanted to point this out right here, this little square right here. Now we're gonna talk about that in a little bit, but just kind of remember that little square that's in there. It's not an open one, it's just where the paint or the thing is there. It's just an open area. That actually is a upgrade that Dave has done, which kind of brings me my overall review of actually his machine without being like, oh, it just stinks or it's no good, because I don't want to scare people that have already ordered one from him, right? This is just more just informational. I would classify Dave's builds as 1 or 2 years behind the curve as far as building professional machines. He's just way far behind, kind of like when I started my Star Wars wall in my Star Wars room. The paint work that I do now is nowhere compared to the paint work I did 4 years ago, right? I've gotten better and I've learned new techniques and different things, and I think Dave is in that process now of learning stuff. And again, that little thing that I pointed out to you, and we'll come back to it later on the back glass. Dave is starting to change some of the ways that he does the build, because he's realizing that there's issues, not big issues, but just the same way again with my painting or doing my dioramas. I found easier ways and better ways to do them. And I'm pointing that out because I don't want to go over the whole machine and then Dave come back or something and say, oh no, our machines aren't like that. Well, they are, because I'm showing you this one that was built at the first of the year. And I just wanted to make that clear that I do know that Dave is putting more stuff or doing other things on the machine now that he might not have done 8 or 9 months ago. And again, that's part of his learning curve. The problem with the learning curve like that is I don't think you should really be charging $5,000 or $6,000 for a machine that's still in progress, right? You kind of want a machine that's ready to go out of the box. That's why you spend so much money opposed to just doing a DIY, which a lot of people do. They just kind of build their own and have fun doing that. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start with the outside of the machine, and we are actually going to be going up close to it and everything. I just want to try to keep the camera steady, so I'm going to try to do as many shots from here as possible. If you notice there in the front, there's two, there's the launch button and there's a start button. Now right now the start button isn't lit up, and I really don't know what the cause of that is. Sometimes it's lit, sometimes it's not. I don't know if it's just a shorted wire or something with the power supply. But those two buttons stay on 24/7. Like they don't go off. And so I'm assuming that those lights aren't meant to stay on 24/7, and they're probably going to burn out much quicker than, say, if you were able to turn it off. And again, that's part of Dave's design. I'm sure at some point he's going to figure a way not to have that stuff on. Now, the easiest way to turn that off is by unplugging the whole system from the wall, but in my case, I actually have a plug right behind the pinball, which actually works out great, but not for unplugging it, because I'd have to crawl up underneath there every single time to unplug it. And really, to be honest with you, I don't know too many people that want to do that. I mean, you don't do that with your TV at your house. You don't do it with a table lamp. You don't, to turn it off, there's a switch. You don't actually just unplug the lamp from the wall all the time unless you're having some issues, but that's kind of, something that you might have done a really long time ago. Now, there is a really easy fix for that. You can put that onto a smart plug, which actually I plan on doing. so I can get it on my Alexa, just like I'm doing with my Star Wars room as well. You know how I have a lot of lights that are on smart plugs. So you can eliminate that. That's a pretty easy fix. But I just wanted to point that out because we're kind of staring at it right now. As far as the outside of the machine goes, I have absolutely no issues with that. That's definitely an A+ as far as the artwork goes. That's one thing that I can definitely tell you that Dave seems to take pride on, and it might be something really that Dave should maybe get a partner that actually does the pinball builds, and then he takes care of all of the cosmetics, because he does a very good job on the artwork. And we'll just kind of change the angle here so you can kind of see the side of it. He does a really good job on the artwork. We actually probably spent 2 to 3 weeks designing all of it. So again, his outside cosmetics of it look really good. I actually went on his Facebook page the other day. He's built this Godzilla topper, which is just absolutely fantastic. You can see we actually collect Godzilla figures. So again, that topper that he makes is really good. There's a couple other machines that I really like that he made, especially that Spider-Man one, and he used these side rails and with the reds and the blues, and just fantastic, right? So I don't have any complaints with that part. Now I do have complaints as far as doing the build itself, because after he did the artwork, I did let him know that I wasn't sure on the T-molding, whether I wanted a black T-mold or a blue. I asked him to please send me pictures once the artwork got wrapped on the cab so I can decide. I also wanted illuminated buttons. I also wanted chrome speakers on the top, and he didn't do any of those. He just sent it. He finally sent me another picture where the build was complete, at least on the outside. And if you've been dealing with Dave, you know this. You start getting excited about the build, and you start asking him, like, how much longer? Because we do get excited. I mean, these are like adult toys. And when I saw the final outside build, I just kind of wanted him to ship it. I was just like, you know what, that's fine. In the future, if I want to switch out the T-molding, I can do that. I can change out the buttons if I want. So that wasn't like a major thing, but it was kind of a put-off that I did ask him to do that, and he didn't. Again, I don't want to really point that out as a negative, because it's not, because like I said, I could fix that stuff myself. So again, the outside is good. The only really complaints I do have with the outside is the lockdown bar and the plexiglass piece, because that's, for as much as Dave goes into wanting the machines to look like real machines with the real pinball legs and the plunger kits and everything else, it's kind of odd that he uses the plexiglass, because you could break it really easily. And then it's something too that once it breaks, if you're like in the US, it's not like you can just go buy you can go buy this somewhere. I mean, you need a template for it. So I'm kind of surprised that he doesn't use like a wood and glass for the back. And same with the lockdown bar, which we'll actually go take a look at it right now. The lockdown bar isn't really a lockdown bar, right? It pulls right off, which is fine. There's a piece of wood here that holds it in place, which actually it holds it really nicely. The problem with this bar, and don't really worry about this is part of the wrapping, but it generally goes underneath there. You can see the overhang on it. It's quite a bit. I mean, you can get all your fingers in there. Now that's to have it more flush on this side. So he does, I believe, has these custom made. I think he needs to go redo his measurements, because really it's kind of, you don't notice it in his videos, but that shouldn't be overhanging that much. And then you do have a lot of shifting when you're playing the machine. Now again, a fix for that is to put some spacers inside of here, but I am really surprised that